were 23rd in yards allowed, and it usually looked worse than that. And less than 3 weeks' time, the Cowboys will be on the clock for the 10th overall pick in the draft, and Todd McShay projects they will take South Carolina cornerback J.C. Horn in his latest mock. But there's been all this conversation about what the Cowboys, who love to make the splash, might do if a splash should fall into their lap. And so as I bring the whole squad in, including Rob Ninkovich, I start with our brand new draft insider, Matt Miller. Matt, what do you think the Cowboys should be thinking about sitting 10 in round 1?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to sit here and say defense, defense, defense. That's what we said last year as well. And what did Jerry Jones do? He saw CeeDee Lamb slip in the draft, and he said, never mind, because the best defense is a good offense. It's the NFL in 2021. You just need to outscore people. You don't necessarily have to stop them. So I would be the biggest advocate to do whatever it takes on Thursday night, April 29th, to go get this guy, Kyle Pitts, because this would make this, I said it yesterday, the best offense in the NFC. And I know Packers and Buccaneers fans are mad at me. I'm okay with this. When you have Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Kyle Pitts, Zeke Elliott in the backfield, and a healthy Dak Prescott, you now have something, a strength. Drafting one corner is not going to make this defense instantly better. Let's not forget, the draft is 7 rounds. Just because you go offense in round 1 does not mean you can't go defense in rounds 2 through 7. Last year, Jeremy Chin was picked at like 50 overall. You can find good defensive players later in the draft. If Kyle Pitts is there at 10, or you can go get him, I think you have to do it.
So, Joey Galloway, I'm envisioning your average football fan who's been sitting home and didn't watch a lot of Florida football last year and has been, all of a sudden, the last few weeks has been inundated with this name, Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts, he's the greatest prospect in the entire draft. Joey, for those who haven't seen him, tell everybody exactly what Kyle Pitts is.
I don't even really know how to describe some of the things he did this season. He is a 6'4", 6'5", Julio Jones type of tight end guy. You know, he's like, when you watch him play, he can get in a tight end position, block, do the physical things. You can spread him out, you can put him in the slot, and he's hard to deal with. A tremendous catch radius. And I've said, outside of quarterbacks, Kyle Pitts is the answer to every other question that you would ask me about this draft. When watching him play, it is like, throw him the ball. Just get it in his area, and he will make a play for you. He's an outstanding tight end that is a playmaker that can also play receiver. I love Kyle Pitts and what he brings to any team that needs a playmaker.
Nice, fair enough. And so I've always said, however, never make a decision until you ask a linebacker. So, Rob Ninkovich, what do you think the Cowboys need to do with the most significant asset they have to work with right now, their first pick in the draft?
I think they need to go and get a linebacker. That's what I think. And being the 23rd ranked defense last season, with having some of the guys on their roster that they paid that haven't come to produce the way that they expected them to produce, I think that they go out there and try and draft a franchise defensive player. Yes, a franchise defensive player, because right now, if you can get to the quarterback, we all know how important that is. The quarterback is key to this league, but if you can get to that quarterback and you can put pressure on a quarterback, that helps you win football games. So the Cowboys, since 2012, they've had 15 draft picks, defensive draft picks in their top 100 picks. 7 of them are gone. So they don't even have some of the people that they've drafted high in the draft. So they need to go out there, draft somebody high, win on somebody that they draft, and keep them in the franchise for a long time.
If you're looking for a linebacker, names like Micah Parsons will come up, and Azeez Ojulari, who can rush the passer, and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and other names like that. So, Dan Graziano, I'll let you sort of settle all of this. When push comes to shove, what are the Cowboys likeliest to do at number 10 in this draft?
They're likeliest to take a defensive player with that first-round pick. I can tell you that the Cowboys' focus in the first round right now is on defense. They know they need to get that fixed. They feel good about their offense, so their focus is on defense. However, I would have told you the same exact thing a year ago, and it was true a year ago. They were thinking defense. They were expecting to take a defensive player. They had their eye on defensive tackle. CeeDee Lamb was still sitting there at number 17 when they were picking. They had him ranked as a top 5 player in the entire draft. They thought it would have been foolish to pass on a player that they had ranked that high at 17, so they took him, even though they needed defense, and it ended up playing out that they could have used the defensive help. But that's really the right way to draft. I think if Kyle Pitts were sitting there at 10, they would probably change the plan and take him, but I don't think he's going to be.
No, I mean, I think Matt Miller would tell you that if Kyle Pitts is sitting there at 10, we will flap our arms and fly to the moon. That seems like an extraordinarily unlikely scenario, but it's a good way to look at the situation. Then we work our way this morning to Tom Brady. Did you see him earlier this week with Strahan on GMA? He just won his 7th Super Bowl. He turns 44 in August. He shows no signs of slowing down. And in that sit down with Strahan this week, he talked about what it is that still motivates him.
So, Tom, what more do you have to prove?
I don't think proving it for me is the motivation. Like, I still want to play. You know, I got like a little sickness in me that just wants to throw a freaking spiral, you know what I mean? Also about football, once you stop, you can't go back and do it. I got some more football in me, not a lot, and I know that, but what I got left, I'm gonna give everything I got.
I found that such an interesting comment. I still have a little sickness in me that just wants to throw a spiral. Rob Ninkovich, you played, with Tom for years, and I know you're good friends. What do you take away as you hear that piece of that conversation?
Yeah, he's got a little sickness in him. I mean, come on, there's not many 43-year-old men that want to continue to play in the NFL after they win a Super Bowl. You'd see a lot of guys win a Super Bowl, like myself, win the Super Bowl, walk away. Hey, I'm done. I've done everything I need to do in this game, and I'm the best to ever do it. But he still wants to play, and he's right about any other sport. If you're a basketball player, you can go and play a pickup basketball game. If you play baseball, you can go hit a few baseballs. When you're done playing football, you're never going to strap the pads on. You're never going to go and put the pad. You're not going to go play club tackle football with full pads on. I hope not anyway. But I think that Tom, he definitely has the drive in him. He's going to be 44 years old. It only takes one hit. And every year after 40, the risk increases. I mean, it's a young man's game. You're playing with 21-year-old kids. And if I was a young linebacker, you better believe Tom Brady, I want to put a big pop on him. I want to hit him. So it's going to be interesting this year. I want to see him walk out healthy on his own 2 feet. But history, we can look back on all history in football. Most guys, they don't walk away on their own.
What do you think, Joey?
I think Rob makes a good point when he says that the little statement of, you can't go do it again. And I think all of us get to the end of our careers and we think, once we walk out these doors of the NFL, this will be the last time you ever play football. And if you're blessed, like a guy like Tom Brady, to play as long as he has and to still have that fire after all these years, I think that's the rarest part of what Tom Brady is to accomplish what he's accomplished and still have that desire to go out and do it. If you're blessed enough to play in the NFL, that's number one, but to go long enough that your fire is still going and you've been in it for so many years that you don't want to walk away from it is special. And it's special to watch, and it's fun to look at and see what he's doing. And it's interesting to see how long that fire is going to burn, because if it continues to burn, he looks like he has a lot of football left in him.
It could turn out that way. Ninko, we got to get together a football game. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 2-hand touch, cut the middle, rush the passer. I got you covered. All right, as we continue, coming up, they're calling Trevor Lawrence a can't-miss